good morning, good day, good evening, good night, depending on where you are in the world watching this. Welcome to this interview with a brother in Christ and a friend. I will introduce him properly because I think it's a little bit lazy when host is just telling the guest, talk about yourself and introduce yourself. I have done my homework, so let me get this straight. So, Braxton Hunter is the president of United States of America. No, Braxton, this is awkward. I meant. Sorry, I was looking at the wrong week. That's next week's interview.
That's right. Well, if I was, we might be better off than it looks like we currently are. But in terms of the political side of things and wars all over the world and the financial state, we'd be in trouble. But I think on the moral side, we might be better off if I were president.
Oh well, I wrote wrong notes on. I mixed the notes. I'm sorry about that. But
happens all the time.
Yeah, of course. Now let me give the proper. Dr. Braxton Hunter is the president of Trinity College and Trinity College of the Bible and Theological Seminary in Evansville, Indiana. You've been for 5 years now recently. No?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I caught that. He's an author of many great books. He's a professor, he's a pastor, he's an evangelist, and he's debated some popular outspoken atheists like Matt Dillahunty and Dan Barker, which he did very well in. I'm not saying that because I'm a Christian or anything. That's he did really well. There's nothing to do with me being a Sky Daddy believer. So really, go check them out. Great debates. And well, Braxton, again, welcome to the show.
I'm excited to be here, and you really did do your homework. The only thing in that list that that maybe I'm not is I'm not currently a pastor, although I have pastored.
Yeah.
But man, I really appreciate you doing all that work to dig all that out.
Yeah, well, you are not currently an author either, are you? You're not writing any books at the moment.
Well, that's true. I'm not actively writing a book.
No, so my list and the research is still valid.
That you got it.
Yeah.
That's a good rebuttal.
Yeah, well, first of all, I'm sorry for using this big headphones. There's two reasons for that. Number one, I haven't been traveling all year, so using this makes me feel like a captain of an airplane. And the second reason is, like we talked about, the hair. I have the best hairdresser in the world, my wife, but I still have a bad hair day today, and I'm sure you know everything about that.
My life is a bad hair day.
Yeah. Well, you just have such a big brain that it's squeezing all the hair out. Yeah. So, Braxton, the reason why you're here today, or I wanted to have you here, because you and Cameron Bertuzzi from Crafting Christianity, you got up with Hunter's dilemma, and I found that very interesting. I thought it was, and I think that this can really go somewhere for. Well, you will talk more about it, but I think that it can improve conversations with atheists because we live in a world of so many definitions and changing all the time, and I think this is a very interesting dilemma. So now I will let you do the talking. Can you talk a little bit about what is the Hunter's dilemma? And I will of course leave the links for Captain Christianity, the episode you guys did, and all your other links later on in the description box. But please talk to us about Hunter's dilemma. What is it?
Yeah, well, first of all, since we talked about me, I just want to say how much I appreciate you, Daniel. And your channel is growing so much faster than mine was when I was at your stage. And so I think that speaks to the quality of the stuff that you do. And I'm so glad that you're doing what you're doing because we need all the help we can get. So a big fan of yours. But having said that, the Hunter's Dilemma, so I didn't name it that. Cameron from Capturing Christianity named it that. I wouldn't immortalize myself that way, although I can't say it doesn't stroke my ego a little bit. I mean, I want to be honest about that. But the idea is, so I noticed, and I started saying it earlier this year, that the most popular type of atheist to be on YouTube and on the internet right now, and even some of the bigger voices who have written books and things that are popularizers, atheist popularizers, more so than maybe atheist academics, they use this understanding of atheism that is similar to how most of us would have just talked about agnosticism in the past. And that is to say, they say that, well, I'm not saying that I actively believe that God does not exist. Like, I'm not saying that I hold the position that God does not exist. Instead, they say, I merely lack a belief in God. Ultimately, I don't know, but I don't see any good evidence, so I don't accept the belief in God. So I just merely lack a belief. So I don't believe in God, but that's not to say I believe that God does not exist. And many of your viewers are probably already familiar with that sort of talk. So I noticed that those same people who would say they merely lack a belief would also commonly, either casually or even in live debates on stage, would compare God to beings that they don't just lack a belief in, that they actively believe do not exist. And those are things like Santa Claus, leprechauns, fairies, Dracula, things like that. And so I noticed that this actually is inconsistent. My position at the time was they're probably just not thinking through what they're saying, and they're being too casual with their language. So what hit me was, okay, look, if we're going to have a conversation, and I said this maybe a little bit, I think it came off offensive to some people, and I didn't mean for it to, but the way I said it was, look, we want to have a conversation at the grown-ups table, and you can have a conversation at the grown-ups table in taking one of a couple of positions. You can either continue to use the language that you're using, the mockery and comparing God to Santa Claus and all these non-existent figures. But if you're going to do that, you're communicating to me and to the listeners that you actually disbelieve in God. You don't just lack a belief, you actively believe that God does not exist. Otherwise, you wouldn't compare him to other things that you actively believe do not exist. So you can sit at the grown-ups table and continue to mock and use that language all you want, but you're going to bear a burden of proof, because one thing that's important in debate is if a person is making a claim like God exists or God doesn't exist, then they have to defend that position and argue accordingly.
Right.
So if you're going to compare God to those things, then you bear a burden of proof, and you can sit at the grown-ups table and we can have a grown-up conversation about that. On the other hand, if you're willing to, if you want to keep the lack of belief position, sometimes called the lack theist position, and just go that way, that's fine too. And you don't bear a burden of proof because you're not making a claim. You're saying, I don't know, I just lack a belief. But if that's the case, then we shouldn't expect to hear you comparing God to Santa Claus and leprechauns and fairies and all these kind of things. Yeah. So that, and then we can have a conversation there. Now, this has been misconstrued by some people who've responded to me about this and said, oh, you're just whining because you don't like being mocked, and you just think you're just so hurt. You Christians are so weak. You've been hurt that these atheists would mock you. Listen, if you're a Christian and you have an active YouTube channel, mockery doesn't bother you, or you're not in the game very long.
No,
it doesn't, right? I mean, you know that.
Oh,
mockery is not, it's not that your mockery bothers me. You can continue to mock. I encourage it, because what that means is then you actively have a burden of proof and you need to defend that. So that's basically, and so Cameron of Capturing Christianity said, I really like that. I think he ran it past Josh Rasmussen and a couple of other people and said, well, they all liked it. And so he said, I want to give it a name so that people can reference it and use it. And I said, I think that's a fabulous idea. And he said, I want to call it the Hunter's Dilemma. And I said, well, I definitely think that's a fabulous idea. And that is how the Hunter's Dilemma was born.
That's so good. You know, this is what stroked me also, stroked me. Like everyone, English is my third language in a way.
It struck you. It struck
me. Yes. So, you know, Norwegian, living in Slovakia and then speaking English is kind of like my third language. Sorry about that.
Well, stroking you is what women want to do to your beautiful hair.
Yes, right, I know. Yeah. I know. Yeah, I know. So well, first of all, I just have to say that this Braxton, or this Hunter's Dilemma, it really caught my attention, because I don't want to take anything away from the dilemma, but it's kind of so simple and straight in your face, and I just can't believe that in a way that it hasn't been brought or pointed out like properly before, because it's so brilliant and it's so easy. It's just like connecting those dots. I really, when you explained it and I saw this video, it's like, wow, that is so spot on, because I even have a video called or like I make a short response to atheist memes and slogans, and I made a video with with basically debunking this whole comparing God to Santa thing, just showing how unrealistic that is, because how many millions of Christians, atheists, even grown-ups, are becoming Christians every year. And then you can ask how many adults, people around the world is starting to believe in Santa Claus every year. There's so many things you can you can compare. So that video was very helpful for many, and it got great response. And I was just really, this happened to me when I was younger, and I just been hearing this all the time, comparing God to Santa Claus, and just like, there we go. And I think that this dilemma that you have here can hopefully at least cleanse up a little bit, and let's sort people into group and see where we have you, and we can have more productive conversations.
Yeah, you're right. It is simple. And those are anything that I say that sounds new, there's nothing new under the sun, but anything I say that sounds new, it's going to be simple.
Yeah.
I mean, if William Lane Craig says something new, it's going to be very complex, but if I say something new, it's going to be simple and something that any random individual while they're taking a shower might think of. And I'm not, I'm not that creative, but I'm good at, I think if I have any value to the apologetics community, I hope it's this, and I'm being serious. I hope this is the one thing that maybe I can do that's valuable, is take complex ideas and say them simply. And here, it's not even a complex idea. It's a simple idea that I've said simply.
That's perfect. God bless you for it. I love it. And we need more of that. Not everyone can be in the academic and learn all these hard terminologies and all that. Sometimes when you listen to philosophers, and both when academic philosophers, Christian and atheists, going at each other, you at least for me, who has English kind of like second, third language, you can get lost very fast. So you have to keep your tongue in the middle of your mouth and concentrate. But this is very good. And now I just wanted to ask you, because I looked at this video from you in Capturing Christianity 2 times, and the same I did with your response to Godless Engineer, who is probably one of them, by at least so far, one of the more popular YouTube atheists who has responded to it. I might be wrong there, at least in the future when people see this. But we will talk more about that after. But I looked at I don't know if did you look at the comment section a little bit on this video from Capturing Christianity?
Not really. I probably did a little bit the day of, but I moved on. I probably wouldn't look at my own comment section, except that I get notifications every time someone leaves a comment.
Yeah.
So, I, actually with Capturing Christianity, I know some of the initial comments, and on some of the Facebook groups for Capturing Christianity, I'm a patron of Capturing Christianity, so I'm not sure if this was maybe in a private group for patrons, but I saw several atheists. Well, I guess it wouldn't have been the patron group if it's an atheist, but several atheists saying they actually appreciated the dilemma and liked it, because they were the type of atheists that doesn't compare God to those things, and they liked the organization of it, like you said. And so what I found is that, boy, I hate to say it this way because it's going to sound so condescending and so offensive, and my whole shtick is that I try not to sound that way, but the truth is that the atheists that maybe it would be easier to have a conversation with in general, maybe the more academic, or at least the more soft-spoken, congenial atheists, have either had helpful points to make about it, or they've agreed with it outright. And the people that have had more of the issue of it with it and don't like it have been more the YouTube internet atheist type that we would call the new atheism, kind of the new atheist movement. Yeah.
Yes, that's right. I looked at some of the comments, and again, we will also go to them in a minute. But I just want to say that I will put the link for your response to Godless Engineer and everything. But when I looked at that video, I just didn't understand what in the world was I watching, because and I'm so glad that you started the show of your response video by showing this letter that you got from an atheist who pointed this out.
Yeah, it's so funny. It's so funny because if people haven't seen that video, it's a response video I made to Godless Engineer, and some atheist had gone to the trouble. I mean, like I have on my YouTube channel on the About tab, my Trinity Radio email. but someone had gone to the trouble of finding my secretary's email to email me this. And whenever I get an email, she prints it out and puts it on my chair in my office. So I was coming in here to record a response to Godless Engineer, and that was sitting in my chair kind of like as confirmation from God. And so I couldn't help but to read that at the beginning.
Oh, so good. It was so good. But there was one thing that I would have put my finger on in your video with Cameron from Capture Christianity. It was that I really like that you guys went for the organization American Atheists. You know, you don't hang any people out, and you know, it's a really, I will say that more, like you guys also said, I think most people will accept that definition of atheism because it was so broad. But I knew that some atheists was gonna say, "Oh, you're just throwing organization and putting all of us in this organization. I don't want that." So what I would have done, and I know that you had so many clips and everything of that, and you showed some of them in your response video to Godless Engineer, but I would have put out clips of the individuals as well, saying this, just to make it a little bit more like personalized and more humanized. I don't know. I'm just making up words as I'm speaking here.
Yeah, no, you're right. And honestly, Cameron's got a channel that, I mean, all of our YouTube channels come at it from a slightly different angle. And it's not that Cameron hasn't responded to individuals in the past. He has. But in this particular case, he felt like, and I agreed, that maybe it would be more concise and more well received.
Yeah.
But I would have been happy to on my channel to throw out the individuals as I did and I have more, and that's the thing. I'm holding back a lot of them so that if people criticize further, I'll just say, okay, well, here's 3 more from Atheists. And in fact, I don't know if John himself has ever done it, but if he has, I sure would like to find that and see where he's done it, because he says that he doesn't do that, and so far as I know, he doesn't. But you're right. Giving the individuals does really put the you know, dot the I and cross the T.
Yes. Of course, it's
those
not
are
like,
letters in the English alphabet, by the way.
Yes, all right. Well, not in Norwegian anyway. But the thing is that of course it would be the same, or it would still be a lot of comments and everything, and say, well, I'm not this and this atheist, and I'm not that organization. It will still happen, but maybe, just maybe, it will be like 10% less negative comments, if that's worth it. But
well, you know, one of the things that in the responses, the comment section to the video I made that released yesterday to Godless Engineer, one of the ways that I can gauge whether I have kind of closed the mouths of some of the atheist detractors is that the comments are still there, but rather than them trying to point out what they think are problems, they'll instead say, well, I don't even know why this matters. And that's the approach they take. Why do you even care? And I got a whole bunch of those comments yesterday. So, yeah.
I speak on behalf of many, I know, when I'm saying that we are many who appreciate you and the work you do, both you and Jonathan Pritchett at Trinity Radio. We really appreciate, and Braxton, really appreciate how you are trying to build a bridge and engage with the atheist community. I don't think that that is being appreciated enough, because, and not only that, but also when I first discovered your channel, I don't know if you know how I discovered your channel. I started mine 1st January this year, and basically I was a channel member or like a patron or supporter of Inspiring Philosophy, and from Michael Jones from Inspiring Philosophy. He makes some great videos, so check him out as well. But I was basically I was looking at a live stream with him for like supporters only, and then he was brought up in the comment section that Apologia had made like a response to or this resurrection argument or something. It was like trying to dismantle it somehow, or
yeah, he was giving a naturalistic alternative to the resurrection.
Yes. And then Michael Jones said, well, I was going to think of writing a reply to it, because he has a blog where he writes replies sometimes. And he said, but Braxton Hunter, he made a really good video responding to it. So I'm so happy I don't have to do it. And I was, Braxton, I want to see that. And then I was like, Braxton. How do you write Braxton? You know, I never written that word before. And well, I finally found you, and I watched the video, and I was like, wow, this is so good response video. I subscribed, and when I found out you were so active in responding to this, it was brilliant. And I'm really glad that I found you and your channel.
Well,
so
I am too, and I really appreciate that. I really do, Daniel. And that is one of my favorite videos I've ever made. So
good.
I mean, I put a lot into that one. And I mean, the thing that was so damning about that particular video was he had thrown up some references from Josephus and other ancient sources. And so in preparing my response video, I looked those up. And when I looked those up, they didn't have anything at all to do with what he was talking about.
No.
And so I messaged Paul and I asked him about that. And he said, well, you know, it's possible I made a mistake. I don't know. And I talked with him a little bit and I said, well, I'm going to make this response video. And I did. And he was pretty cool about it. And he even thought it was, he said that he thought it was a good video. And so, but I put a lot of effort into that one. So I'm glad that was the first one. If you got one of my other videos, you might not have stuck. So I'm glad that I'm glad you came in on that one.
Yeah, well, that was definitely, I hit the subscribe button so hard that, no, it was really good. So I'm really glad that you're making these response videos, because you have a lot of response videos to atheist videos up there.
Yeah, I think honestly, I mean, you know, for me, it's not that I haven't experienced times of doubt in my life. I have. I think it's one of the enemy's favorite tools against us.
Yeah.
But it's never been because of these kind of comments. And I think that's a special thing that God's built into my DNA, that I am completely impervious to atheist comments in the chat. They never bother me a bit. No. I mean, I get up in the morning and I'm told that I'm an idiot and all that 10 times before breakfast. Doesn't bother me at all. But I think for a lot of people, it does, like you say. And I think, honestly, I've said this for a long time, and I think it's true.
Yeah.
I think the big arguments they come up with, those are not the things that are most persuasive to people. I think it's the direct, confident mockery.
Yeah, definitely.
Is the most challenging. And that, you know, I guess when you think about the dilemma that we're talking about here today, I mean, that's one of the things. You said that you've heard it your whole life, the Santa Claus thing. I've heard it from atheists for a long time, and it kind of tempers that a little bit. And I'm glad for that. But I'm working with a young woman right now, talking with her somewhat regularly, who lives in my city, and she used to be a part of an apologetics group. And she was like the leader. You know, I would do the teaching, but she was also a student at our school learning apologetics, and she was kind of the organizer for the group. And right now she's married to a strong Christian. She knows a lot of apologetic stuff, and she's dealing with doubt primarily because of this bombastic mockery from atheists online. And she will look you in the face and tell you I have no intellectual struggle at all. It is purely emotional.
Yeah.
And I'm glad she knows the difference, but she's still struggling with that emotional side of it. So I'm just convinced that they don't have any good arguments, really. I mean, I think the problem of evil is pretty good. It's like the best they have, the arguments from evil. Why would God allow pain and suffering? But they don't really have much. No. What it really is this loud mockery. And that really is the thing that I think is a problem.
I'm so glad God blessed you with handling YouTube comments and everything, because be sure you will not be lasting long on YouTube if you were reacting to these comments. I don't have very much experience with YouTube, but I used to be a football player. And I got a lot.
When you say football,
I mean actual soccer. Football, like you're kicking the soccer, when you're actually kicking and not running around with an egg like this and call it football. I'm actually like proper football. Sorry, Americans. I know I have many subscribers.
And here's the good news: I care nothing about any sports ball games.
Yes, okay.
So you can call yours football and say American football is fake football, and I'll say amen, brother. I really don't care.
Back to this thing with apologetics and this woman you were talking about, because I had the other way around. I really didn't hear about apologetics until around 5 years ago, when a video of Ravi Zacharias popped up on my Facebook. And from there I watched him and was introduced to David Wood and Frank Turek and Michael Jones from Inspiring Philosophy and What You Mean and all that. We just went through the whole good show, and of course William Lane Craig. just started to read and listen to so much things from them. And I work online, or I work on computer, so I listen to podcasts 7-8 hours every day while I'm working.
Oh, that's great.
And God blessed me with a multitask skill when I was 17 years, so I can listen and talk to my wife and watch television and work at the same time, and still get around 80% understanding of everything.
Wow.
But the thing is that with apologetics, like I said, I just discovered it 5 years ago or so. But I had, my faith was quite strong, because I had the undeserved grace of having three divine experience or miracles, if you will, in my life. And I told you, I think, some of them before, and I will go more.
We talked privately once about that.
So we'll go into that. That's for another video. Sorry, guys, but I released one of the video on my channel as of this November day, 2020. But I had this strong personal experience from my childhood and up to I was 25 years old or so. So I didn't have any doubts in God like that, and I could feel the Holy Spirit working in me. And I realized later that I kind of knew a little bit of apologetics from like the ontological argument, a version of that, and continuity argument and moral argument. I kind of have that, but I'd never heard about apologetics, never heard the word. And when I
do you mean to say that you like just thought of those things, kind of arrived at them on your own?
Yeah, can you imagine? And even when I was a child, I asked my mother, look at the trees, look at the trees.
Yeah,
who made them? Yeah, well, that's an internal joke. Braxton has a t-shirt with that on. No?
Yeah, I kept hearing atheists make fun of design arguments by saying, oh, it's all like, just look at the trees. And I thought, well, looking at the trees, there's a lot of organization in trees. The leaves have veins that carry nutrients to the different parts of the leaf, and the leaf serves a function in the tree, and the tree serves a function in the ecosystem. So actually, if you want to make an argument for God's existence from intelligent design, trees are a great place to start. So I have a t-shirt with me kind of, in shock, that says, look at the trees.
It's a good t-shirt. It's a good t-shirt. Braxton, how many dislikes have you made this year on YouTube videos?
I don't know. Is there a place in my YouTube settings where it'll tell me the total? Because that would actually be interesting.
I don't know if you can, but I know you can see how many you liked, but I don't know if you can see how many you disliked. But I disliked 2 videos. 2 videos is better. I think this means something bad in England. Videos. 2 videos I disliked this whole year since I started my channel.
Were these my videos that you disliked?
No.
Okay.
No, it wasn't. It was David Wood's. No, I'm just joking. It was the Cuties trailer. I disliked that one, and when I was disliking it, I was close to the 2 million dislike on that video.
Oh wow! Well,
and it had 50,000 thumbs up and 2 million thumbs down. So I'm glad for that. Yeah, just horrible. And the second video was a music video from Cardi B, I think, called WAP.
Oh, yeah, dislike that for sure.
Yeah, dislike that. So that's the 2 videos I disliked, and I think that's all. I can't imagine if I'm walking around I listen to many videos on YouTube, but if it's bad or something, I just never manage. I just never take my time to press the thumb down. It's not worth it.
Well, those are 2 good videos to dislike. I mean, that's because you love, admire, and respect women. Yes. That's why you would dislike videos like that.
Yes.
I think some people would interpret it as some sort of a misogynistic thing, but actually we love women, so we don't want to support things that can be damaging and cause disrespect toward young women and even female pop stars.
Yes. And I told this one time, I think it was on my 1,000 subscribers milestone video. I told this that, when you are disliking my videos and leaving bad comments, you are still boosting the YouTube algorithm. Right, so you are just spreading my my YouTube channel and ministry to more people. So and like I said, and same with you, this this comments doesn't do anything to us. So do what you want, you know.
The only thing I do is, because I'm trying to foster as best you can in the dumpster fire that is YouTube comments. I'm trying to foster a community that's more civil.
Yeah.
If a comment, and this is not true with sub comments because I don't always see the notifications.
No, that's true.
But main comments, if someone begins with an insult,
yeah,
that comment gets deleted.
Yeah.
So like what I have to admit some carnal delight in this. I probably, do I want to say this? Yeah, I'll go ahead and say it. But like, if sometimes an atheist will begin with, "You blanking idiot, you blanking whatever," and then the comment will be like a dissertation. It'll be like 10 pages. And I know this is wrong. Okay. This is therapeutic for me to get this off my chest, but to know that they spent at least a half hour writing that comment. And because they began with a direct insult and profanity, nobody's ever going to read that. I'm not going to read that. I'm deleting it immediately.
Yeah.
It feels like you took a bath.
Yes, it's really good. But I have to tell you this, because that reminds me, you know, I one time got an atheist comment, was one of the earliest one when I first started. You know how many words that comment was?
How many?
6,000 words.
Oh my gosh.
I just copied it and then I posted it into a document to see how many words are that. And it was almost 6,000 words. I can't believe it.
Oh
I mean, honestly, and I don't want to sound bad in a way, but sometimes it's quite easy to see the spiritual realm working on, because I don't know, it's just you really 6,000 words, and you really are going around online and just making wreaking havoc on Christian channels. I just don't get it. I mean,
that's like 12 pages of text.
My goodness, that's crazy. I mean, I honestly, and I've been thinking a lot, especially last year, of how it is to be an atheist. You know, I try to, I read philosophy, atheist philosophy, read the great philosophers of atheism, and a couple other books, and just really trying to set myself into how that would be like. And I just keep landing, and I don't want to sound bad, but I just keep landing on the absurdity of life, to be honest. And I promise that if I was an atheist, I couldn't care less about going on Christian channels and saying, "Haha, look at you, what you believe in, Sky Daddy, and Santa, no evidence, whatever." Goodness me, I would do everything opposite to that. I would just worship myself and get the most out of life as I could. I wouldn't spend 1 minute on YouTube on Christian channels. I'm really serious about that.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that these guys and the women that do it, I think they're geeks for it. Like some people are geeks for Star Wars, Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
I think they're just geeks for it. It's a hobby to them. And so I try to remember that. Like I do think there are some people like maybe Shannon Q and Drew, genetically modified skeptic. I think that in their subjectively constructed morality, I think they do intend to help people coming out of religion and things like that. But ultimately, I think for most of these people, it's a hobby. And so when those kind of people, I'm not talking about the ones that I actually legitimately think are really trying.
No, same here.
But when the other people try to say, "Oh, it's because of the the injustices," and I think, no, don't. These are empty platitudes. You're doing this because it's a hobby. I know what's going on.
Yes. And you really get liked well when you are an atheist YouTuber compared to a Christian. You know, we are the Christian viewers and YouTube users. We are not so active as the atheists. We have a job to do there of commenting and liking and supporting each other. They are more skilled in that, but of course they are telling things that the world wants to hear, and we are not. So. And if you are surprised with that, then just read the Bible. You know,
read the Bible. Read the Bible.
It's we know this. We know this will happen. We have Jesus say it multiple times. We have Paul saying it multiple times. It's, you know, we are just so blessed and lucky that we are not getting at least for now, we are not getting this persecution like they have in many other places in the world. There are 260 million Christians under severe persecution around the world.
You're so right that that we should expect, and the Bible tells us that people will hate us because of Jesus. You know, it just was it yesterday? Yesterday or the day before, I was driving my youngest daughter. She's 9. I was driving her home from gymnastics, and we pulled into our spot at our place. And when I parked the car, I pulled out my phone because I knew I'd gotten a notification. I looked at it, and I guess I kind of made a face. And my daughter said, "Is that?" She said, "Is somebody texting you?" I said, "No, it's a YouTube notification." And she said, "Is it somebody being mean to you?" And I said, "Yes." And she said, "Well, why are people so mean to you on YouTube? Is it because you're a Christian?" And I said, "Yeah, sweetheart. In fact, but here comes the indoctrination. So any atheists that see this, no." But I said, you know, we shouldn't be surprised. And really, they're not hating me. They're hating Jesus. And Jesus told us that people would hate us because of his name. And so that's the way it is. We shouldn't be surprised. They don't realize that what they do confirms so much of what we already believe and are taught will happen. And I know that in their minds, yeah, because it has been carefully crafted to insulate and all those kind of things.
Yeah.
Okay, but we actually think there's good reasons to believe this, independent of looking at particular texts in the Bible.
Yeah.
But then, since we do have good reason to believe it, when we look at what Jesus says in the Bible, even the things that like historical Jesus scholars who don't believe in the Jesus of faith, but believe in the Jesus of history, even the text that they agree he probably said, it confirms so much of what we see happening all around us.
Yeah.
And I just don't think atheists realize that.
This really needs to get more out in
Apologetics makes it much easier, I think.
I mean, for me, and I know that some academics and people may differ on that, but I just can't see how that's not like hand in hand. That's why I called it DanielApologetics, because I just really sees it as evangelism, but it's also strengthening believers. It's just hand in hand. I can't separate those two, but I know that people will. But this is 2020, and you can make up your own definitions, and I just did. If not,
yeah. Well, I mean, that's how I got into apologetics. You and I are similar in this. I think there's a lot. I'll tell you, I was in a car with a well-known Christian apologist, a person whose name, if I said it, many people you would know who it is, and a lot of people would know who it is. And he said, "Well, why are you interested in apologetics?" I said, "Well, obviously because I want to see people come to faith in Christ." And I said, "I see I consider myself an evangelist more than an apologist.
Yeah.
And the apologetics is really only there to bolster my evangelism." And he was like, "Huh, I never thought about apologetics as evangelism." And I thought to myself, wait a minute, you're an incredibly well-known apologist, and you don't think about it in terms of reaching people for Christ. I mean, that to me is so backwards. It's like, what's the point of defending the faith, but that people might come to believe the faith?
Yes.
I mean, I guess apologetics does have benefit for the believer in that it firms us up, but I'm interested in seeing people come to faith in Christ. And it sounds like you and I came to it similarly, because I picked up apologetics because there were questions that unbelievers had that if I'm going to reach them for Christ, I need to be able to help them with those answers. And that's how you came to it. And I'm surprised that's not everyone's story.
What's the purpose of and goal? What's the purpose and goal of the Hunter's Dilemma?
So the primary purpose and goal is to have more organized conversations and to help and this could sound condescending. I certainly don't mean it to sound that way. Although genetically modified godless engineer, I got to keep all these superhero names in order. But godless engineer got offended by this a little bit. But this could sound condescending, but also to help the atheists understand what they actually are saying. Because it could be that, like, if you've got an atheist who considers themselves a lack of belief atheist, and yet they are constantly mocking God with Santa Claus and all these kind of things, then it may be that they don't even realize it, but actually they do disbelieve in God. And so that's that's an important thing to help them. But generally speaking, it's to have more organized conversations, and to shut the mouths of some of this mockery to get to the real root of the problem.
Yeah.
So if a person is if a person is saying, okay, look, as I said before, I really do disbelieve in God, then that's good for me to be aware. Oh, you're that kind of atheist that really does actively disbelieve in God. In that case, I'm fine for you to continue using the mockery. But what this means is now we're going to have a conversation that's going to look very different. It's not just going to be me presenting reasons to believe that God exists. You need to be presenting me reasons to believe that God does not exist.
Yeah.
We need to go at it in a more straightforward and frankly traditional way. This is the way that Craig's debates used to go. This is the way that Gary Habermas's debates used to go. I mean, that's how it used to be before the new atheism. But if you're going to be a lack of belief atheist, then this actually helps me realize whether I should take you, whether it's going to be worth our time. This could be, I know this sounds offensive, but it's biblical language. It could be pearls before swine here. If you're not going to play fair ball, to use a sports ball reference, even though I hate sports ball, if you're not going to play fair ball here, if you're going to continue mocking, but you're not going to pony up and put your money where your mouth is, then this may not be worth my time. But there are a number of people who have a lack of belief styled atheists that don't use that language. And it turns out those are the kind of people that are more sensible that you can have that kind of a conversation with. So really the whole thing, to boil it all down, is just to have better conversations, more organized conversations, to help the atheist actually understand exactly what they should be arguing for. And I think it also reveals to you who you should be spending your time with.
Yeah, there are many atheists that are just extremely hostile or just completely apathetic to the whole thing. Even if you present arguments and evidence materials and using reason and logic and historical minimal facts for the resurrections that even skeptics, New Testament scholars agree on. You can get a resurrection without using the Bible, and even if God is a complete moral monster, you could still get a resurrection if you would just. And that's something that, and Jesus is the most influential figure that ever walked the planet. He's definitely worth looking into if you are seeking the truth.
Yeah, absolutely. That is, and that's not a debatable point.
No,
I've said this before, and I keep saying it, even though I don't know that it really registers with a lot of people. But I think a really simple apologetic that anybody can use is just to say, all right, let's put all these sophisticated arguments aside for a minute. And I can't give you absolute proof of this, but let me just say it this way. If you can at least believe there's a God, and a lot of people can believe that there's at least some God or something out there. If that God is responsible for us, if it was the intention of that God that we would come to exist with our moral inclinations and our desire for relationships with each other, it seems reasonable to think that a God that made us would want a relationship with us because he built that drive into us. So if we look through human history, can we find a spot where it looks like maybe that God might have done that with someone or some way? Well, as a matter of fact, right smack in the middle of the three major monotheistic religions, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, who all point to the God of Abraham as the one true God, even though they describe that God differently, in the case of Islam specifically, and Jews don't recognize the Trinitarian nature of God. But right smack in the middle of all of that is a man who thought of himself as at least God's special agent to bring about the kingdom on earth, and probably claimed to be God. And obviously I believe that, but I'm just saying if on the scholarship. And yet he's the most important and influential figure in all of human history. I mean, just the simple, if there's a God that made me, he'd probably want a relationship with me. Is there anywhere in human history where he tried to do that? Oh, bam, the most important man who ever lived happened to say that about himself. To me, that just gets you there. I mean, it may not give like absolute assurance, but I think it's pretty good.
Yeah.
What you'll find occasionally, like with the Sermon on the Mount specifically, is people like Matt Dillahunty, who are big popularizers of atheism, and they're from the new atheism. You won't find this among the academically minded atheists, but you'll find it among the new atheists. But what they'll do is like Dillahunty specifically says that the Sermon on the Mount contains all this either borrowed or evil material that but I want listeners to know that when you hear atheists say things like that, those kind of people who their whole project is to popularize atheism, they will look for what is it that is the most amazing thing about this religion that people can connect with. Let's try to find something about that we can make it look ugly too. It's kind of like when you go on Amazon and you're going to buy a new book, and you'll see the 1-star reviews. Sometimes those 1-star reviews are correct, but they're usually not. Usually the reason someone gives a 1-star review is because they've got an axe to grind about something with that author or that book. You want to look at the 2 to 4-star reviews to get reasonable responses. That said, if anybody reads my books, please give it a 5-star review. I'm just saying. Of course. But the thing is that they're going to look for the 2 to 4-star reviews, because 1-star reviews are people that have a strong axe to grind and a bias. And so when you see people attack the words of Jesus in cases like the Sermon on the Mount, oh, this is so evil, this is wrong. That's just, consider the source, basically.
Yes, and completely ignoring hyperbolic words from Middle East and ancient Middle East and wording and everything. Oh, chop off your hand, say you hate your father and everything. Honestly, this whole point can go all the way back to Old Testament. I used 8 months studying the whole things about God, evil monster guy in the Old Testament. And especially when I start to look into the ancient culture outside of the Bible, of sources that was outside the Bible, how the culture was back then, and just in general, when merging that together with the biblical scripture, you really, I really wish that that atheists would really, at least many atheists would just really dig into that, because I can't see how you can read the Bible from beginning to end and not come to the conclusion that God isn't just God and full of love, but a just God. I just don't see how you can get to the conclusion without. You have to read the Bible with really strong presuppositions against God, just with a lot of hate to get to that conclusion. Because isn't it strange how when God is saying something is evil, we are many atheists are so quick to point out, oh, look at God, he did this and this, and they just think that when God says someone is evil, it's just that they were lying or cheating on their taxes or something. Can you imagine that a tribe or nation there is just doing a lot of bestiality, and you just let them do whatever they want, and don't want to do anything about it, and sacrificing children on to Moloch, a bronze god where you just put babies on and they just burn up to death, just melting. How can you not have anger and want to judge that? I just don't understand that.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And I have to say the claims about the Old Testament, particularly and this would be a whole topic for a show in and of itself, but like the slavery issue and marrying women on the battlefield, from the battlefield, and the genocide of the Canaanites, and that sounds really good for atheists when they need something, and they all go to that. But here's the thing: when I have looked into that, particularly the issue of slavery, let's take it because it's one of the worst. When I look into that issue, when I looked into that issue deeper than I ever had before in preparation for my debate with Dillahunty, it didn't even come up, but I was going to be prepared for it if it did. And when I was looking into that issue, this is one of the examples. This is the best example of something, the most extreme example of something that I thought the way that some of these atheists say they thought when they were Christians. I had thought, man, I don't really like to think about that part of it. I don't know the answer. I kind of know some things to say, and I probably knew more than most people because I had thought about it a little bit, but I wasn't comfortable with it.
No.
But when I got done studying that issue, I was completely convinced of that this was not the way it had been portrayed or the way I had thought about it. And it really was completely understandable, and how this all worked out. And so this is the great thing is most atheists now, they love to say this because they think it makes them sound cool, is they'll say, well, reading the Bible is the best way to make someone an atheist. So I'll tell you what, the atheist and I agree on something. Read the Bible. I want everyone to read the Bible. Atheists want people to read the Bible. So read the Bible.
Yeah, let's do it. Everyone, let's join the party.
Read the Bible. Read the Bible.
I'm listening to the Bible while I'm brushing teeth, actually, on my headphones, and I get through like 2 chapters while I'm preparing for the night. And I was reading.
You get through 2 chapters of the Bible while you're brushing your teeth.
Brushing my teeth and washing your face and making a big boy and little boy toilets and all that. But again, I had you for 1 hour now, and I probably have to edit a little bit because we are chasing that. What do you say? Chasing that rabbit trails.
Yeah, America. That's right.
Yeah. Pick up some strange wordings. So I'll just put all in one section here and there. But I want to finish with this Hunter dilemma. Can I ask you? When atheists say that, why can't I pick both premises 1 and premises 2 of the Hunter's dilemma? How would you respond to a comment like that?
So the idea would be someone says, why can't I just go ahead and violate your Hunter's dilemma? That is, I understand that what you're saying, but I'm still going to be a lack theist, and I'm still going to compare God to beings that I actively disbelieve exist. Well, then that's where you recognize, okay, I don't think I'm playing fair. I'm talking with someone who's playing fair ball. So maybe this isn't worth my time because they're not being charitable with this. But you might be hinting at what if someone, and this is what Godless Engineer brought out and others had, is, well, what if someone says, I actively disbelieve in the Christian God, for example, but in terms of just kind of an ambiguous God of the philosophers, I don't know. I'm a lack theist there with respect to that. Well, okay, then the way that looks is we run the Hunter's dilemma twice, once for each understanding of God, and for the ambiguous God, kind of a theistic, not well defined God. We shouldn't expect to hear you comparing God in general then to Santa Claus and these things, and you don't bear a burden of proof. But if you're saying that the Christian God does not exist, then we can expect to hear you saying that Yahweh is like Santa Claus or whatever. But now you bear a burden of proof. You need to demonstrate that God does not exist.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And I'm really glad you brought that up, because it's the whole thing. If that comes up, you have to run the Hunter's dilemma twice. Once for God and once for the Christian God Yahweh. So great. I saw that that of course came up many times in the comment section on the video of Capturing Christianity. It's just a false dichotomy, false dilemma. What's your response to that?
Yeah, it's not. The only way you get to it's a false dilemma is if you assume that we're equivocating on what we mean by God and flipping back and forth between a general theistic notion and the Christian God. But as I've said, and I don't know why this doesn't, it's like people start typing before they think. And it's like, this is the same thing I felt with Godless Engineer's video, because that was his thing, is no, think about, if you're talking about 2 different God concepts, you can run this on both God concepts, but there's no false dilemma so long as you do that. The only way you get a false dichotomy is if you make us say something we're not saying and presume that we're equivocating on God, between the Christian God and just general theism.
Yeah, exactly. By the way, that just reminded me of, I honestly don't understand how he got to the conclusion, Godless Engineer, how he got to the conclusion that you said every atheist should go to see a psychologist. That was hilarious. I mean, honestly, you have to really be looking for really be looking at with hostile eyes and just take everything, just really look at you with the most horrible intentions whatsoever, because I honestly don't. I listened to it 2 times and I rewinded that part to see what am I missing here. I honestly don't see how he got to that conclusion that every atheist should go to a psychologist.
Maybe I could have been more clear. I'll say that.
But still, that's still a big gap.
But here's it is. And here's the thing that I found interesting about that is, and I've had private conversations with John, the godless engineer. So I have said this to him directly, things like this, and I'll say it now. Godless engineer's whole deal is being offensive. Yeah. His whole thing is to be bombastic and over the top. And I used to say, I know he's trying to change this now, but I used to say that his channel was kind of like the South Park of YouTube atheism. And so the very notion that he's telling me that I'm too offensive is bizarre to me.
Yes, honestly, you are so far from that. I'm trying to emulate you in your way.
I appreciate that.
Atheist, because you are.
Nobody should emulate me.
Yeah,
emulate Jesus.
Yes, amen to that. But okay, let's just take the final typical comment that I see, and it's well, Braxton, you are just trying to shift the burden of proof.
Well, if the burden of proof, if you, it's not hard to recognize who holds a burden of proof.
No,
it's easy.
Yeah.
When you make a claim, you bear a burden of proof. If I say there's a lion outside your door in Middle Earth or wherever it is you live, if I say that there is a lion outside your door, I bear a burden of proof to demonstrate there's a lion outside your door. If you say there is not a computer monitor on my desk, you bear a burden of proof to show that there's not a computer monitor on my desk. When you make a claim, you bear a burden of proof. So whatever you think about my motivations or why I'm doing it, it's not hard to recognize where the burden of proof goes. And if you bear a burden of proof, you bear a burden of proof.
Yeah.
Atheists do say all the time, like, no, Christians are the ones that bear the burden of proof. Theists are the ones that bear the burden of proof. We don't. Well, hold on. If you're a lacktheist and you're not comparing God to non-existent figures, that's fine. You don't bear a burden of proof. But if you are saying God is like Santa Claus, then you bear a burden of proof because you're indicating or communicating to me that you think God is non-existent. Yeah. And so that's how I would respond to that.
Yeah, it's a good response. And to any atheist out there who says you can't prove a negative, I can prove I don't have 20 fingers.
Yeah, that's right.
There we go. So, well, Braxton, we've been going on for more than an hour, and I appreciate your time so much. And I just keep looking forward to following your channel further, and perhaps even do this again sometime.
Well, we need to have you on the channel sometime, Daniel, and you are one of my favorite humans, and you're definitely my favorite Norwish human, because you might be the only one that I know.
Yeah, I feel so honored to be your favorite Norwish people. So, well, Braxton, tell us closing statement. This is not a debate. Tell us your final word is yours. Plug your channel, plug your even patrons and what's coming up and whatever. We want to get Braxton full time on YouTube. So, and he's almost as of this cold November day, 2020, he has almost 10,000 subscribers.
So yeah, I was going to say right now I'm sitting at 9,431.
Yeah. Okay.
So I'm confident with your vast channel, Daniel, that we can get over 10,000 with this video. So if you're watching this video and you do enjoy apologetics, and you wouldn't probably be watching it if you didn't, please go consider subscribing to go watch a couple of videos of mine, and if it's your sort of thing, subscribe. If it's not, don't. But I'm so close to 10,000, and this is an important thing for your channel too, Daniel, because it wasn't too long ago, just last year I was where you are. And the thing is, people that listen and enjoy what we do don't realize that subscribing is very important, because and views are very important. Views are arguably more important, but subscribing is important because at certain benchmarks, like 100 subscribers, 1,000 subscribers, 10,000 subscribers, it opens up more features on YouTube that we can use to expand what we're doing.
And the so snowball effect.
Yeah, it's something you can do for us. Like, for example, I think, unless I'm mistaken, at 10,000 subscribers, one of the things I'll be able to do is put one of those panels underneath each video that's a merch bar where people can get the Look at the Trees t-shirt and stuff like that. So it really helps if you just subscribe. It doesn't cost you a dime, and it really helps us out.
Yes. And again, he has almost 10,000 now on this cold November day 2020. If you're watching this in 2030, it's probably 10 millions, but for now it's almost 10,000. So
and another thing, Daniel, before you cut us off, I would say that my primary goal, other than benefiting the kingdom and seeing people come to faith in Christ,
amen,
is to do that through training men and women for the gospel ministry at Trinity College of the Bible and Theological Seminary. And we have students in 120 countries. We have students in your country, and and you can check us out. You can, even if you're not interested in professional ministry, but you want to learn apologetics, or you want to learn theology or biblical studies, you can do that with us without ever leaving your home. And if you have a device capable of watching this video right now, you have everything you need. And you can do that at TrinitySem.edu. And if you think you'll at any point be interested in doing that, then it wouldn't hurt you right now for free. Just go on that page, and on the right-hand side of the page, there's a little request for information. Just fill that out. That also really helps us. It doesn't cost you anything. And I would love it if you'd do that, because then you can learn in a much more robust way than I'm able to do on YouTube, and from a variety of great professors, people like Leighton Flowers, Chris Date, Tim Stratton, Jonathan Pritchett, myself. And so I hope that you'll do that, but there's the end of my infomercial, Daniel.
Yeah, well, I could put the last one on. If you appreciate Braxton's work, he's doing a lot of important work responding to atheists on YouTube, and atheist is primarily dominated, or YouTube is primarily dominated by atheists. So this is important work. And if you think that, I will definitely buy Braxton a coffee at least once a month, support him on Patreon. I will leave the link in the description box.
Well, I wasn't going to ask for that, but I certainly appreciate that, Daniel.
Well, yeah, if you are watching this video now, or in future, don't support me, go to Braxton. We really need more content like Braxton is doing. So really appreciate you, brother, and we'll do this again in the future.
Thanks, Daniel. I sure have loved being on here. Thanks so much.
God bless you.